Hello, I'm Stewart Swerdlow, and welcome to a very special podcast just about dreams. Most of you have written in saying that you have dreams that you needed to have interpreted, and I had requested that you send in dreams, and you sent in a lot of dreams, and this is just a little tip of the iceberg. So we're going to do this over a couple of podcasts, and in the future we'll do even more as you request them. So welcome to the very first dream podcast. Now, I may not and will not get to all of the dreams today, but over the course of time I hope to get to most of them. And not all of the dreams I can say are appropriate for the podcast, and I might do those privately for you. So please have patience, and I will post on the site when I need you to send in some more dreams. So for now, don't send any more in, and we'll go with what we have. So here we go. I'm going to start with the very first one from Australia, which is a very long dream compared to the others that I'll be giving you today. So I'm going to read it to you first in its entirety, and then I'm going to give you the salient symbols that pertain to this dream and what they mean. And the person who wrote this dream sent me a little note before the dream to set it up. And she says, just as a note before I tell you this dream, a few days before I had the dream, I had researched my high school emblem to discover the Illuminati symbolism, which led me to wonder about the programming that myself and my fellow classmates got at that school. It was a Catholic private school, very elite and very expensive. And so right away, we know that because it's a Catholic school and an elite one, that there are triggers going on just by being there. So here's the dream. The dream begins with me and another person walking into a classroom at my old high school. Me and this other person were invited especially into this class. I don't remember who told us what the class was about, but somehow we were told that it was important that we attend this class to learn about them, she writes in quotations. I wasn't told who they were, but I knew they were hybrids or reptilian hybrids. The reason I make a point of the fact is that no one verbally told me anything, but I was still told information that I suspect was given to me telepathically. I have no idea who the other person was, but it was me that was invited into the class. I can't even picture their face, body, or anything. I only know there were two of us coming into this class. They were kind of blanked out. The things I know about who they were through my feelings is that they are female and that they were there by invitation like I was. There was a female teacher sitting in a chair at the front of the class. She had blonde hair, blue eyes, pale skin, and was thin. She was a teenage female student sitting on, there was a teenage female student sitting on the teacher's knees with her arm around the teacher's neck, kind of like a child sitting on a parent's lap. Me and the other person were invited to take a seat with the others in the classroom who were already seated at desks. The others in the class were all female, human-looking, all thin, muscular, tanned, blank-faced, not much body fat on them, all wearing the same thing. Might have been our summer school uniform, which was light blue, and all sitting very close together at desks. I tripped and bumped into a few of the girls as I struggled to get to the only seat left, which was a seat right in the middle of the girls or hybrids. Even though I knew they ate people, as hybrids do, I was still friendly and apologetic for being so clumsy. Everyone was sitting so close together that our shoulders touched. There wasn't much personal space at all, even though the room was big enough, and there was no need to bunch together. I sat, noticed all the girls' hands were the same, with one feature that was weird, and I remember this clearly. Their knuckles were pointy, not bony like a skinny person's hand, but pointy with actual points at their knuckles, not knobby bones. I hope that makes sense. Coming to the end now. The teacher's pupils of her eyes were slits as opposed to round mammalian. She was sitting, letting them stay that way for us to see, which I knew not because I was told, again because of telepathy. The teacher was teaching the girl sitting on her lap how to change her pupils from slits to round. She looked at the girl and said, "Just focus on the point." The teacher's pupils were still slits. Then I saw the teacher take a moment, concentrate inwardly, and then her pupils changed to being round. She said to the girl, "See, just then I concentrated on the point." The teacher's demeanor was very relaxed. She seemed to be a patient teacher. That's all I remember. I realized when I woke up that the classroom of this dream took place, was exactly the same classroom as my old high school. I knew the room well. I suspect this dream, and she wrote it in parentheses or memory, was a part of the Green Star programming, which included instructions about assimilating hybrids into society. Well, that was a bit of a long dream, but it's very significant, and that's why I included it here. Because this is a programming dream, and as you know, I do make a distinction between a normal or oversoul dream and a programming dream. And when a person is heavily programmed, they will have about 70 to 80% programming dreams, and the rest is a normal dream. It's kind of like a safety valve where no matter how deeply programmed you are, your mind has to be allowed to release the normal status reports from the mind in order so that you don't become insane. People who don't have normal dreams will eventually become insane. So, in this dream, the classroom represents an indoctrination or a learning of a function or set of instructions. That's what that means in both programming dreams or regular dreams. Because all of the students and the teacher are female, this represents alters from the left brain which have to do with a physical reality function. So that means what this person was learning or downloading in this classroom in the dream had to do with a physical function that she had to be doing as part of her programming. The reptilian features indicate that it's centered also at the brainstem. And because they ate people, it means that they're eliminating old or original aspects of her personality. And so that's what would happen. The reptilian brainstem would give a programmed set of instructions to the left brain, which would then download as the dream so that those instructions come through to the person. There's definitely Green Star deprogramming that needs to be done here, as well as dragonfly deprogramming. I recommend that you flush the brainstem with violet and use the brown merger there 24/7. Note that the person is from Australia, which has a very high percentage of reptilian programming energy, so I'm not surprised to see a dream like this coming from Australia. I also would recommend that this person do DNA opening exercises, and also to use the medium green DNA at the pineal gland and use white winged dragon energy while you're doing this so that you can access the reptilian possibilities or programming in the brain and then download them and eliminate them properly. So very interesting dream that was. Now we have a dream that is from a woman who has a child that has a bit of an issue. So I wanted to give you that background. And the person says, "What a wonderful idea to talk about dreams. I've been thinking of it lately. So after you mentioned that we had dreams for this opportunity, I want to let you know that I've had prophetic dreams and all kinds of bad dreams, things like this." She has an autistic child, and she keeps dreaming that she has a heavy situation with a small child on her hands, all kinds of cataclysms going on and unwanted situations, frozen fingers, telephones that don't work or that they're also stuck. What can she do about it? Well, on the surface, I will tell you, basically, the birth of this autistic child was a cataclysm to you. It was something you didn't expect in your life, and something you're finding hard to deal with, and you're trying to escape it. On a deeper level, you need to find a new frequency or way of communicating, but you're afraid of finding this new way of communicating. So do your oversoul work, connect to the God mind within, and I would suggest that you read my work on autism in the Healer's Handbook and the dolphin frequency that is related to it. And I have a lot of experience as a developmental specialist in my years working in mental clinics in the East Coast of the US. So please read about that and what you can do to help your autistic child. They're very brilliant. They have dolphin DNA that's been opened, and this needs to be worked on and brought into connection to the mammalian and human side. So I believe that's all we have for this particular segment. I know that Janet has some very interesting cooking ideas to continue with you, and of course you can dream about eating her food and write about it at another time. So I will continue on another podcast on dreams in the very near future, and until that time, keep on dreaming, keep on writing them down, and this is Stewart A. Swerdlow for Expansions.com.
Hi, this is Janet Diane Moria Swerdlow. Welcome into my kitchen again. You will remember that last time we made a trip to Cindy Gruett's farm, Kitty Hill Organics, and while there I showed you a huge basket of Jerusalem artichokes. So I want to show you what happened after I brought that huge basket home. I want you to look over here. I went through and cleaned all the artichokes up. I took off the top, which looks like this if you'll remember, washed off all the dirt, took off a lot of the little root stems that were coming out from them, and you can see that they're very similar to carrots, potatoes, other root vegetables that you might be familiar with. They come in all different shapes and sizes. This is probably a pretty good size one, and of course some of the smaller ones, about like this. Now the tops I did save because you can chop these up. You can fry them in a little olive oil and garlic, a little salt and pepper, and you can eat these. They are a little bit bitter, so that's okay. Bitter is good for your internal system. Let me show you what an inside of these looks like. If I just take one and cut it open, you can hear it's kind of crispy, and it looks like that. And you can eat it just like you can put it in salad. You can grate it. You can put it in salad, which is delicious. You can eat it raw. Very sweet and crunchy. It's full of inulin, which we talked about last time. It's good for people with blood sugar issues. It's a very low carb piece about like this. Only has about twice that size, an egg size shape. Has about 8 carbs to it, so it's a good substitute for potatoes. I cut these up. I use them in soup, and it is a replacement for a potato, and I do a wide variety of other things with them. So let me show you what else I have going on over here. This is my Cuisinart, and I've already processed some Jerusalem artichokes in here so that you can see them. They're just thinly sliced. You can slice them by hand, or you can use your food processor if you have one. I'm going to turn my skillet on with a little bit of olive oil. You can put a little garlic. You can put a little onion in here if you like. I'm just going to do mine plain. And I'm going to just spread them out here and let them saute. They'll get nice and crunchy on the back side. You don't want to do them on too high heat, because if you do, they'll wind up more black than browned. But they're delicious. So you can fry them up. You make a really delicious side dish. Now I have some other things to show you as well that you can do with it. Here I have some soup that's boiling. This is actually going to be a Jerusalem artichoke cream soup. I have onions in here, which I sauteed in my pan earlier. I have some garlic. I have about a quart of chicken broth that I made myself at an earlier time. I just pulled that out of my freezer. And I have some pieces of Jerusalem artichoke. And the way you can tell if it's done is you just take your knife, and if it goes in easily and it's soft and it's ready to eat. This one is just starting to go in, so it's not quite where I want it, because when it's done I'm going to emulsify it. You can do it because that will make it into a beautiful cream soup. I have this tool, which is an emulsifier. You have to wait till it's cool, but you just put it in. The blades go around and it turns into a beautiful cream soup, and you can do that with anything. It's very easy. You do it right in your pot. Usually it's best if your soup is cool. However, if you want to wait, if you don't have one of these, you can do it in a blender. You can do it in a food processor, but it is best to wait till it's cool. But it makes a delicious soup. And after you've got your Jerusalem artichokes, your onion, and your garlic in there with your broth, you can add a little dash of hot sauce, salt and pepper. You can add a little cream to it, milk. You can do goat's milk to it, whatever you like to make a nice creamy soup. It's very, very easy, very nutritious, very good for you. And this, you can hear, is starting to crackle a little bit, which is a good thing. Just want to stir that down. It's going to be beautiful golden brown before it's done, and then you'll flip it and do the other side, and then you put it on your plate with a little salt and pepper, and it's delicious. Now over here, I have some that I've steamed in a steamer. I just put about 1 inch of water, distilled water in the bottom. I put my little steamer in there and some whole Jerusalem artichokes, which you can see if we take them out here and put them on the plate. They're very soft. My knife goes very easily into it. You can peel them. However, I prefer to leave the peel on, especially since I know my source. You open it up. Very nice. And you can put, this happens to be goat butter, a little pat of butter on there, a little salt and pepper, and it's a wonderful accompaniment to any meal. If you have any questions about Jerusalem artichokes, I would like to suggest that you go out and you get your own. Hopefully your organic store carries it. If not, they probably can order some in for you. Because it is a root vegetable, I would suggest that you not use them unless they are organic, because they bring in so much from the ground. Be sure you soak them in the hydrogen peroxide bath like we talked about before. I do keep my tub over here filled with water and 1 to 2 ounces of food-grade hydrogen peroxide to clean it up before you start your food prep. With that in mind, I'd like to thank you for joining me. Janet Diane Moria Swerdlow, expansions.com. Thank you. Next thing I want to show you is another easy spring dish. I happen to like spinach and a lot of it. You can do this with fresh spinach, however my family prefers the frozen. So what I have here is a 1 pound bag of frozen chopped spinach. And what I do before I use the frozen, and also if you cook fresh, you'll want to do the same thing, is you need to go in and you need to squeeze out the juice. We are going to make spinach pie. Very easy. Again, you can pull this out of your freezer. If you're in a hurry and you don't have fresh and it's already frozen, you can set it in a pot of hot water, and believe it or not, it will unthaw very, very quickly. Now, if you have a tendency to kidney stones, then you may not want to use a lot of spinach in your diet, because spinach has a tendency to be full of oxalic acid. That feeds kidney stones, makes them grow. If you have that tendency, you want to add more vitamin D to your diet. That will help dissolve the kidney stones. If you have, or stones in your body in general, will help absorb the calcium that creates the kidney stones. Now, I have a 9 by 12 baking dish. You can also use an 8 by 8. Again, my family happens to like it a little on the thin side. So it's very easy. You just want to get all that water, squeeze out of your spinach. This is a 1 pound bag. And once you have it done, you just spread that around in your pan. Now, I have another dish that I make, which is, I will be showing you another time, called crustless pizza, believe it or not. And it does incorporate using spinach like this with a lot of other interesting, fun ingredients. Very, very easy, very, very nutritious. Good for your body. My children like this particular spinach dish, and they also like my crustless pizza. But we're not doing the crustless pizza today, just spinach pie. So let me wash the spinach off my hand. And again, you can get fancy, you can get creative. But for the purposes of today, we are just doing the side dish. From there, I take a little bit of organic black pepper, and I just sprinkle that over the top. I take garlic powder, organic. You can get this from Frontier. Sprinkle that over the top. I buy my spices and herbs in bulk. Here's some more Frontier white onion powder, and I sprinkle that over the top. And you can put on as much or little as you like, make it fun, do it the way you like to do it. And I also have some organic red pepper flakes. Now I do not add any sea salt because I top this with cheese, and I think the cheese has got enough salt in it for myself. It's my personal opinion. Do whatever you want. And I use goat cheese. This happens to be mild cheddar goat cheese. You can also use mozzarella from this same company. I have had very good luck with it. And I just quickly grate my cheese. I leave it out because it gives it makes it room temperature, makes it very soft, very easy to grate. You can do it in a few seconds basically. I'm a very good grater, I've done a lot of it. And as soon as that's grated, there you go, you just spread it over the top. This happens to be an 8 ounce or a half a pound. I plop it in the oven at about 400 degrees. I would like to get a little bit brown on top. You can also mix other cheeses on top. Again, be creative or as inventive as you want. It's your palate. Don't be afraid to experiment. And bake it for, say, 15-20 minutes till your cheese is melted. Cut it into squares, and you just serve that as a side dish. So it's very easy to do. So I'm going to stick it in. We're going to have it later tonight for dinner. It's going to be delicious, along with our soup, our truffles for dessert. And I want to thank you very much for joining me. I want you to have fun with cooking. I want you to know how to visually prepare it so it looks appetizing. You can take the same things, and if you lump it on a plate, it's not as much fun as if you put it together in a beautiful, attractive way. And if you know how it's good and healthy for you, mentally, visually, physically, make it a wonderful, spiritually oriented experience when you eat. It's holistic, it's fun, it's good for you. Thank you for joining me, Janet Diane Moria Swerdlow, expansions.com.